Thanks for joining us once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
As you can see, lots of papers on the table today. There was a big meeting that went on May 16th. Work session before that and about a 2-hour meeting, but a lot of fun in that meeting as well. You're going to hear about some presentations that were made. Let's begin with the work session on the 16th. 2 items, both surrounding police. The first is community-oriented policing services and a grant associated. Give us some background there.
Yeah, folks might be familiar with it from the COPS grants. These have been going on for many years at the federal level, and those grant programs are available again with a little bit more funding available this time around. So Chief Warner came forward to the council to talk about the opportunity to apply for some of those funds, and it helps fund new officers in the department. The focus this year would be on a community resource officer for the community center, another sergeant. We haven't added a sergeant to the police department structure in about 15 years, and then again a little more focus on that community outreach. So council was favorable to apply for these grants, and so staff will continue to work on that. They're due about the middle of June, and so we would know later this year whether we received it. And always a chance, if we apply for 3, we might get 1, that kind of a thing. But it basically funds about 40% of the cost of a new officer, and so helps to kind of help us with those early costs of adding staff to the police department.
All right, we'll pass along more later on in the year. The second item on the work session was the traffic diversion program and also hearing office guideline amendments. This is something you've been working on. Give us a little more information.
Yeah, so if folks will recall, as part of our 2022 budget, we brought prosecution services in-house, and so we've hired our first city prosecutor, Andrew Draper, and he's on board getting the new office set up of the city prosecutor, and working on getting all of our data access agreements in place, our new case management system, and then getting the balance of the staff hired. As part of his work to get familiar in the city and Hennepin County, really kind of looking at where we're at in the court system with traffic court and those kinds of things, and our hearing officer guidelines, brought forward to the council a traffic diversion program. This really kind of helps with some of our traffic enforcement and the end goal of wanting to get folks legal out on the street, whether it's their license reinstated or reinsured driving out on the street. So a traffic diversion program. Many suburbs or municipalities have a diversion program, so we would be implementing that. And then changing up some of the hearing officer guidelines. So if you are issued a traffic ticket, and oftentimes if you're not just going to pay it or it's not on a payables list, you can go through a hearing officer process, and it kind of helps expedite those things through the court system. So making some shifts to those guidelines, lots of information out on the website under there, but later in the agenda we hired our second prosecutor, second attorney, and we are looking forward to kind of flipping the switch to in-house prosecution later in June. So a couple more staff, support staff to bring on board, and then we'll bring those services fully in-house. So might see a few more tweaks to kind of some of the programs and policies about how we've been doing business and making some changes there, but this was kind of the first 2 things to come before the council for that effort.
All right, those are the 2 items on the work session from the 16th. Now let's move ahead to the meeting. Again, just over 2 hours of time, some fun things happening, including this first item that was pulled from consent, recognizing the retirement of a longtime employee.
Yeah, so Cindy Brown has been with the city for over 20 years in several capacities. In fact, she worked in administration when I first started with the city, so got to know her a bit. And then most recently, she's been serving as administrative support staff for our Community and Economic Development Department. And Cindy is a very dedicated employee, and Joe Hogaboom, our Community and Economic Development Director, was just commenting this morning at the directors meeting is all the things that Cindy just takes care of that are kind of behind the scenes that Joe never sees, and kind of big shoes to fill here with Cindy's retirement. So Cindy's last day with the city will be July 1st. We're out recruiting right now for this position. It's a great support position for the city, and so we're grateful for Cindy's service, and we really wish her all the best in her retirement.
Very good. Let's move ahead to some of the special business. There was a special presentation, something that happens on an annual basis around fire prevention. A poster contest this winter. Tell us about the young lady that came in.
Yeah, so Claire Ream was with us. She was the winner of this year's poster fire prevention poster contest. A really nice poster that she made about fire prevention and talking about how her family is prepared for fires in the home. So lots of things. They get a trophy, a traveling trophy that gets held at the school where the student attends, and I believe she is at Rush Creek Elementary, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Rush Creek Elementary.
Okay.
And then they receive, that trophy goes to the school. It's kind of a traveling trophy, so there's a bit of honor there that goes with that. And then she gets a $25 check, recognition at the council meeting. She got to have lunch with some firefighters, and she also got a ride to school in a fire truck. So that's,
who could ask for more?
Right, that's a pretty exciting thing. And then they did announce at the meeting that she was also recognized in the kind of the state level competition.
Wonderful.
So we really appreciate Claire's submission for this and her work on that, and nice to have her family with us that evening as well.
Way to go, Claire. Great job. One other item that came in, something for the open forum, but hop back a little bit, was the Arbor Lakes Corporate Center. We'll hear a little bit more about this a little later on, but there was a nice award given to the city. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so this project was recognized basically for its environmental cleanup of that site. If folks will recall, kind of at the corner of 85th and Zachary there, the northeast corner, site of the old Osseo dump that had been, sitting for many years. And so we worked with the developer and brought quite a bit of state funding to the table to help clean up that site. It was about $5 million worth of cleanup, but now a beautiful building sits there with great businesses occupying it. So it was really a great project. So Tom Shaver with Inland Development Partners was there to share that award with the city for being recognized for that environmental cleanup and repurposing of that real estate.
Wonderful. Fire department back up now to talk about a grant that came in. It is the thermal imaging grant. I understand this has been in the works for some time, but really helps the city out.
Yeah, it has been. So this is Firehouse Subs, which they are no longer located in Maple Grove, but they do have locations around the metro and then across the country. They have a public safety foundation associated with that business, and they do provide grants to local fire departments. And so the fire department was able to get a grant for 5 thermal imaging cameras, and so that really helps us in when they're at the scene of a fire in sort of searching those areas with that thermal imaging camera. So we're really grateful to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for that contribution to Maple Grove Fire. Next
item gives you a look ahead at a big event that's a favorite of residents of the city of Maple Grove, and also a look back and an award from last year. 39th Annual National Night Out coming up this August. Well, let's talk about last year. Big award.
Yeah, so Maple Grove was awarded first place for cities in our population class for our National Night Out activities, and it was a great year last year. I think people were ready to get back out with their neighbors. I think we had just shy of 190 parties last year throughout the community, and of course the community picnic over at the community center that day in preparation for that, and kind of the public safety expo over there as well. So Todd Strigi puts this event together for the city every year, so this was great recognition for his work on this and his service to the community, and great to be back in that first place position for that event. This coming year's event will be held on Tuesday, August 2nd. It's always the first Tuesday in August, so start thinking about that with your neighborhood. And it's also, if you are a neighborhood that doesn't have kind of a crime prevention group together, block captain established and that kind of a thing, reach out to the police department and think about putting that together in your neighborhood. I think it's just a really great program. We do a lot of outreach with our block captains to let them know what's going on in the community, and they get a lot of information through the police department. So looking forward to this year's National Night Out, and encourage people to reach out if they don't have that set up in their neighborhood as of yet.
The city's website, maplegrovemn.gov, the place to find out more about that and how you can sign up and get ready for National Night Out in August. A number of public hearings at the meeting on the 16th, and we're going to combine 2 into 1 business up twice. This is the Optimal Performance Golf. They had 2 items to cover. Tell us about those. Yeah, so this is Optimal Performance Golf. They're located off of 93rd Avenue, just kind of due west of the Osseo schools that are up there off of 93rd. This was for an on-sale intoxicating liquor license to go with their
It's kind of a golf simulator facility, golf training facility, and they were looking to be able to have kind of food and beverage services along with that. They did need to go through a rezoning process. They've been zoned industrial. There was an industrial user in that building previously, but staff reviewed that, and there's a number of zoning classifications up in that area that kind of have some business sprinkled in and amongst the industrial area up there off of 93rd. So seemed like a reasonable option for us to bring that forward for that rezone. So later in the agenda their rezoning was approved, and then that allows them to go forward with having that liquor license there and full service food and beverage.
All right, let's hop to community economic development items. A number covered here, a number of items that we've talked about in the past that continue to move through the process of development. The Arbor Lakes Business Park Phase 3, something that was talked about back in February. Back again, what step of the process are we in now?
Yeah, so this is development stage plan, rezoning final plat for kind of the next phase of that, just to the south of the buildings that are being constructed there right now along Elm Creek Boulevard, kind of just due east of Lowe's in the fountains out there. So 3 buildings there associated with that. There would be 2 more that would be closer up to the freeway at some point in the future. This really only dealt with those 3 and kind of the site layout, the road connections. So we're really grateful Endeavor Development brought this forward, and I think it's a really nice continuation of that business park there. We've seen a lot of great jobs come to town in those buildings, and I think there's just more to come. Yeah,
definitely a corner to watch in the city. Edison Apartments, a planned unit development as well. This again has been through the process in March, now coming back. Tell us more again about this.
Yeah, so this is kind of north up off the County Road 30 area, north of BioLife, kind of north and west of Menards up in there. This project will sit just kind of right south of what the new 610 extension, when that project gets completed across the field out there. So 242 units here for this project, and this one gained approval. This was their development stage plan approvals as well.
Something along Elm Creek Boulevard to talk about that you may have wondered what's happening in that space. Well, here's what's happening. Maple Grove Retail Center. Tell us about the history of that property and what's planned.
Yeah, so this is right between Brick and Bourbon and the Truestone Financial Bank building there. Formerly the Hops site. Many folks will remember that. I think a lot of people really loved Hops, and that site is set vacant for quite some time. So this retail center, about a 4-tenant space in a multi-tenant retail building. Very nice, attractive building. Tom Cloutier bringing this one to the table as well. Tenants in that one, a Pancheros, which is kind of a fast casual Mexican, and then we know there's an ice cream store shop coming there, which will be a nice addition to that side of town, and then 2 other tenant spaces with tenants not identified yet. So really nice architecture on this one, and that'll take up that space there between those 2 buildings.
Final item was Westin Commons 2nd edition. This is townhomes coming to the city. Tell us a little more about that project.
Yeah, so this is the project up off 105th, kind of associated with the Northwoods Church development. There was kind of the first phase of townhomes that were kind of just north of the church site. This is the land kind of to the west of that, so the 2nd phase of those townhomes. And so this one did gain approval. There was a lot of discussion about owner-occupied versus rental. Of course, we have a lot of developers building units for the purpose of developing rental housing. And so, we got a little bit more information from the developer, but sounds like some of the more back-to-back units that are on the east end of the development might end up being rental, and we'll just continue to monitor that as it goes forward. But this one did gain approval out there.
Here's a couple other items that were passed along from Community and Economic Development. Big event was held today as we're recording this on the Wednesday. Tell us about the partnership of business.
Yeah, so this is kind of a new fun one, Granite City Village Inn. If you've been by there recently, you see the outside of the building has been updated and some branding has been added for Village Inn, which is kind of a breakfast type place of years gone by. I remember going there in college, and so this is a nice addition to the community. I've been there for lunch, and they serve breakfast up until into the afternoon. Really nice additions to the menu. I think we were of want for more breakfast options in Maple Grove, and so I think this is a really nice addition and a nice pairing. To take that space in the morning when the restaurant wouldn't have been open, and add a breakfast menu. So congratulations to them. They had a great turnout for the ribbon cutting yesterday.
Great new partner in the city. A couple updates on meetings and commissions for the city. Park Board going to be meeting Planning Commission not meeting the end of May because nothing on the agenda, but tell us about the Park Board coming up here quickly.
Yeah, so Park Board will be meeting Thursday night, and one of the items that we're continuing to move forward is we had a work session a while back on the Territorial Road Master Plan, and one of the issues in there is kind of making a decision about where the park shall land up there. So this is the area west of Fernbrook, north of County Road 81, up to the Dayton border, and then kind of up to the Dayton border on the west end. Lots of development pressure up in that area. Pulte, we've been working with them. They kind of helped, were part of this master planning exercise. They've been doing some environmental assessment work up there. We do anticipate them coming in the next couple months with a residential housing project, pretty significant project in terms of number of units. So the Park Board will be kind of weighing in on where that park location will be. And as you might recall, lots of historical elements up there along Territorial Road, and kind of the first village area of Maple Grove in that area up there. We have the the Rush Creek Cemetery, those kinds of things. And so we're really looking to, as we develop a park up there, kind of enhance or highlight those historical aspects of the community and document those there for folks to enjoy. So Park Board will be dealing with that on Thursday night, that location of the park.
Very good. More to come as that develops. Let's go to Public Works and Engineering, and they're looking ahead to the future, 2023 to 2027, and street rehab. Shows how early the process starts. What happens at this stage? Yeah,
so this is really kind of establishing the projects for each year of our street maintenance program. And so we get communication out to those folks that'll be part of that 5-year program to let them know kind of what year that they're in and what we're looking at there. And then, as we get closer to their year, we start a bit more communication trying to understand, what the drainage issues are, street issues in the area, so that we can incorporate those to be addressed in our program. But yes, every 5 years we recast the next 5 years and set out what that maintenance program is going to be. And so that map of those areas is available on the city website within the council agenda.
Couple other items touched on by Public Works and Engineering. Big day coming up Saturday, so we're recording this on the 18th. I believe that's the 21st. It's drop-off day. What can we get rid of and where?
Yeah, so the Public Works drop-off day, Saturday, May 21st, from 8 to noon. Public Works located off of Forest View Lane. Encourage people to go to the website to see what kind of items can be dropped off. Sometimes there's a fee associated with them depending on what it is, but great opportunity to get out and get that spring cleanup done.
If you've been traveling in and out of Maple Grove along 85th, you might have noticed some cones and construction work and things going on in the street, and that's because there was a little collapse of an interceptor. Tell us what an interceptor is and what has to be done to fix it.
Yeah, so this is our sewer system is really a regional sewer system, sanitary sewer, and it's the Met Council Environmental Services, so that's kind of run and operated by Met Council, but certainly there's infrastructure in every city as we all connect into that regional system. So there's a pretty good sized interceptor in kind of right off of 85th and Jefferson there that we had a collapse in that kind of the old concrete pipes, if you will. And so, got to make quick work to get a bypass set up and get some pumps out there to make sure that we don't have any backups in the system. And so Public Works crews, utility crews worked with Metropolitan Council staff to make sure we got that in place. And I haven't heard of any issues that came about, but this is, this happens, and as infrastructure continues to age. One good thing with the city, the council's always been very supportive of our sewer lining program. So when we go through different areas of the city, we're lining those pipes so that we can avoid this very kind of situation, because it can turn into a mess real quick. And so, quick work on the part of our utility staff to get after that. And so I know we're out right now with a couple projects lining those pipes. So hopefully we can prevent them in the future.
It is a busy group. Administrative items from the meeting on the 16th. Just a couple you mentioned. Community survey. Tell us about the response. Things seem to be going well, and the deadline is coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, deadline is May 20th. So the opt-in survey will be available on our website through that date. We have had great response, probably double of what we did when we did the survey back in 2016. We've had almost 1,000 responses to the random survey that was mailed, and folks could either respond via mail or they could go on to the website and do the random survey. So we're really grateful for people responding to that survey. we do plan to present those results to the council at their June 20th meeting.
Final note you passed along was the legislative session. You're keeping an eye towards the Capitol on some bills and also bonding. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have 3 bills that are in play down there. Session ends Monday, May 23rd, so we're really going to be watching what happens over this coming weekend. But we have a bonding bill for the community center project. $18 million is our request. We're looking to get a bit more money to get 610 over the finish line, get that extension done out to County Road 30, and the interchange is complete at 94. That's a $22 million request in the Transportation Committee. And then we have a small tweak on a sales tax exemption for the North Metro Regional Public Safety Training Facility. So we're monitoring all those in the coming days, and we'll see what happens here as we get to the end of the legislative session.
Yeah, we'll see if the next time we get together we have some information on that. Final note from the meeting on the 16th. To top it all off, there was an EDA meeting as well, and the one item was the Hilger TIF district. Give us a little history lesson on this, and a transfer was necessary.
Yeah, so we're back up to the Arbor Lakes Corporate Center there at 85th and Zachary, and we did establish a TIF district there to help deal with those cleanup costs in addition to those grant dollars that were received. And so the developer or the owner of the building was asking to kind of transfer that TIF note to a different entity, and so EDA takes action on that then.
That was the meeting then from the 16th. Again, you can see why it was a couple hours in length. Now we've got a few minutes to talk about some other things coming up in the city. Let's begin with a holiday that is coming up, but an opportunity for people to gather as well.
Yeah, so city offices will be closed on Monday, May 30th in honor of the Memorial Day holiday. The Maple Grove Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program and the Osseo Maple Grove American Legion are hosting an event at our Veterans Memorial at Central Park at noon on Memorial Day. So folks can get information there from the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon site or American Legion.
May is the time of year when some departments of cities throughout the country are recognized, and we've got a couple that are recognized here in this month in the city of Maple Grove: National Public Works Week and Police Week. Tell us about those neat weeks.
Yeah, so May 15th through the 21st is a couple of weeks of recognition. Our National Public Works Week recognizes the role our public works staff plays in supporting our community with vital services of streets, water, and sewer.
Fixing interceptors,
Fixing interceptors, all of those types of things. And then National Police Week, of course, which we had a proclamation for that in recent weeks. May 15th was designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day. So this week is designated to pay respect and homage to those officers who have given their lives in a line of duty. And I know a couple of our officers participated in the event down in St. Paul in this past week.
Very nice. You mentioned the North Metro Regional Public Safety Training Facility. Some things happening there. Yeah. Really seeing construction happen. What's coming up out of the ground? Yeah,
so the walls for the expansion part of the building are starting to come out of the ground. The project's really moving along. The construction will expand the building from 22,000 square feet to 58,000 square feet. And I think important to note that we serve about 20 different law enforcement agencies out of that facility. It's really a regional asset, which is why it won support for some state bonding for that project. So construction should be finished by the end of the year, and they hope to open the facility in early 2023.
All right, here's a sign of the seasons changing. We're going to talk water restrictions. So as things maybe will heat up someday, there's water restrictions, but the city made a change in the past year or two that goes now for all during the year. So tell us more about that. Give us the details we need to know.
Well, it might be hard to remember, but we were in a drought last year.
Yes,
and now we're kind of swimming. And so one of the things that we did during the drought was we put some watering restrictions on that dealt with time of day. So no watering or sprinkling from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then following the odd and even schedule. So if your house adds in an odd number, you would water on the odd days, even days. We saw a pretty dramatic decrease in the gallons pumped with that type of a program. And on any given year when maybe we're not in a drought condition, you know, I think you end up with a similar outcome in terms of yard maintenance. And so I think it's really a great opportunity just from kind of a conservation stewardship perspective to keep those restrictions in place and encourage people just to follow kind of the every other day sprinkling guidelines, as well as during the day. Really, if it's a hot, July day and you're sprinkling at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, probably not doing a lot of good. Those things should be done early in the morning, late in the evening, and even overnight. So those restrictions are in place now going forward for the summer months, and we encourage folks to follow them.
All right, city's website, a lot of information about that. There are a few exceptions relating to new sod, things like that. So again, maplegrovemn.gov if you want to find out more about that and get the real particulars. Business activities, a lot going on in the city on the business front. Let's begin with Mechatronics Solutions.
Yeah.
What are they up to?
Yeah, so they celebrated a groundbreaking last week for their new headquarters down on 73rd Avenue, just south of 694. This is a great project. Existing Maple Grove business that was in a multi-tenant building that had really outgrown their space and was looking to expand. And really grateful for Brett Angel's effort here, our economic development manager, to really be out ahead of that with the business and understand what their needs might be. You know, the easiest thing we can do is grow our own, right? That we have businesses here in Maple Grove that are thriving and might have a need to expand, and we really want to be meeting with them and understanding what their needs are so that we're their first thought when they think about, boy, we need more space, where should we go? So this was a great deal that we worked out. There was a piece of kind of excess land down there that was maybe potentially needed for future right-of-way. We went through a process to determine if there really was a need for that and determined that the site could be sold for private development. So Mechatronics was able to acquire that site and proceed with their new headquarters. So we're really happy for that reinvestment, and we wish them all the luck in their construction. The other couple businesses that we've had ribbon cuttings are coming up is Hot Works, and that's kind of a hot yoga studio. And then the Good Clinic on Main Street, they're going to have a ribbon cutting on June 1st.
Speaking of Main Street, let's take a walk down Main Street for a second. You might have noticed there's a few things going on that street. How is it going? What can residents and drivers expect? Yeah,
so our Main Street revitalization project is underway out there. You might recall that we went through quite a process to determine some design and plans for this kind of revitalization of the area, really building edge to building edge, redoing the streetscape, pavement in those sections, getting rid of kind of the old paver style and going with more of a stamped concrete. We think that'll weather a bit better for us in the future. Construction activities will not impact Chalk Fest, which is scheduled for June 11th and 12th. We'll take a pause for that, and also for Maple Grove Days there'll be a pause, and so all those areas will be fully accessible during that time. We do have a lot of information on our website about that project, so we encourage people to take a look there.
Yeah, business is still open, so get out and support those businesses, even though it might take an extra turn or two to get to the businesses. Farmers Market, let's give folks an update on that process here. Seems to be rolling on well.
Yeah, so last week was our first outdoor market of the season. I think the weather cooperated quite well. So we're open every Thursday now at the community center from 3 to 7 p.m.
Juneteenth Events coming up, and this is actually going to be on the Sunday, the 19th. Where and what's happening?
Yeah, so this is an event that our Parks and Recreation department is putting on at Central Park. It'll include fitness opportunities, vendors from the local community, as well as music and foods on Sunday, June 19th.
Final note to pass along, we've been talking quite a bit over the last months and even into the year about the community center project. What's the latest there, and again, what information is available for residents if they want more?
Yeah, so we really encourage people to go out to the website growingtogethermaplegrove.org. Lots of information there, and we continue to update that as we get questions from the community, things that people are curious about or wanting more information about. We really do try to keep that updated, and we continue to add information there as that becomes needed. One of the pieces that we're doing this coming week is we're going to be, our council and our park board and our community center working group have been invited to take a tour of the Plymouth Creek Center. As you might know, that has gone under some pretty expansive renovation and then expansion as well. The active side of the facility is completed, and so we're going to be touring that. The more banquet side of the facility, meeting rooms, is going to be done midsummer here. But kind of a neat opportunity to kind of see the vision of what kind of the Plymouth Creek Center, again, another facility that's been around for many years and in need of some reinvestment, much like the community center here in Maple Grove. And so good opportunity to kind of get in and see what that design kind of looks like over there and how folks are using that facility. Project website, again, Growing Together Maple Grove, and like we mentioned, we're waiting to hear, and the legislature hopefully will be the recipient of some state bonding, and we continue to get more information available to the public on social media as well, so stay tuned for more of that.
All right, well, we packed it all in a big meeting and a lot of other things happening in the city. I want to leave you with the website one more time, so if you're interested in more information about any of the projects we mentioned or things coming up in the city, maplegrovemn.gov, the place to go. Next meeting, Monday, June 6th, 7:30 at the Government Center, and phone number, as you see, down at the bottom of the screen. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.